Hello. Welcome to Tech Ascent, the podcast where we dive into the trends, strategies, and success stories that are reshaping the tech landscape as we know it today. I'm your host, Oliver Clingain. I'm also the founder of Ascension, the premier business development partner within tech. Today, we've got a great guest joining us, joined by Rey Ortega, the founder and CEO of Grata Software. Rey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm really excited to talk about stuff.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. I feel like we've got some great topics to talk about, but we can kick it off. Would you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself and what you got to do at Grata?
Yeah, so my name is Rey Ortega. I'm actually a software engineer by trade. I started building websites back in the middle of the 90s when I was back in high school. We started building applications, games, things like that, all self-taught and learned over the years. And I got really, really good at building solutions for businesses. And so I had done that for many years. Essentially running into where I started my own company called Grata Software. And at Grata Software, what we do is we work with small businesses to medium-sized businesses in building artificial intelligence solutions, automation solutions, any type of technology solutions that help a business grow and scale and get to that next level. So we have our Grata Software brand, which is our core brand, and then we have our Digital Strike brand, which is basically the rapid deployment of technology for smaller businesses that are just, and solopreneurs and entrepreneurs that are just starting out. So we have our big brand, we have our small brand. And so that's what we do. And I still am at the helm. I have a team of people that now do a lot of the coding and stuff, but I still do a lot of the architecting, the designing, and coming up with the solutions for companies. So,
yeah, very cool. Very cool. And you obviously kicked it off in the software space. How long have you been in the AI space?
So we've been doing AI since actually my first AI project was 2014. We built a neural network for a company called 6 Seconds, which is a nonprofit out of California, and they do emotional quotient training for corporate clients. And when we came on board, originally we were just brought on board to scale their company. We used to be an Amazon Web Services consulting partner. I used to be a certified solutions architect for Amazon, not for Amazon, but for my company, but under Amazon. And we were just building an infrastructure for them. But the owner knew that I knew how to code. And so he asked my opinion about, hey, how can we do XYZ? I can't remember the exact solution. It was a very cool solution, actually. It was a way to automatically build teams based on personalities. And I found it very intriguing. It's definitely in my wheelhouse. So we came up with a machine learning solution, not an AI, because nobody really called it AI back then. Everyone called it machine learning and predictive analytics. So we built a machine learning neural network that was able to accomplish what they needed, and I was able to work on that project, deploy it, and that was the first time I actually dove into the underpinnings of artificial intelligence. And then from there on out, we've been doing artificial intelligence ever since.
Yeah, nice. And over that time, whether it be AI, machine learning, I think the terms have gone back and forth at some point interchangeably, whether they are or not. But nowadays, how has that kind of landscape shifted from your first project you did?
It's amazing, man, because like everybody wants it, but nobody understands it. That's the funny part about it. Nobody understands it, but everybody wants it because they hear about it. They hear all this stuff on social media, on TV, on whatever, and everybody realizes like this is where everything's going, so they want it. So right now, a lot of the ever since the advent of ChatGPT, which is a large language model, and that's what ChatGPT is in the grand scheme of artificial intelligence, and it's become more popular because now people understand it in the sense of the way, by using ChatGPT or using Claude or any one of those tools. But what a lot of people are not realizing is that artificial intelligence is beyond just the large language models. There's multiple ways of using artificial intelligence. There's narrow artificial intelligence, which is a focus strictly on providing a solution for a company in their specific need. But a lot of the calls are that we're getting now is all, I need to incorporate artificial intelligence. I need to incorporate ChatGPT. I need to incorporate, everyone's trying to figure out like how they can incorporate all these tools because they're trying to automate as much as possible. And as you probably could see, they're trying to reduce the cost of labor. Not necessarily, by the way, not necessarily the purpose of artificial intelligence when it was created originally. It's how everything goes. You build technology and then people start using it in a different way. And they're like, oh, look, I can replace a whole bunch of people working for me and just have it all run automatically. At least that's the thought process. But that's where someone like myself has to come in and have the pragmatic and more honest conversation of like, it will improve the performance of your current employees or your current systems. It may replace a few things, but it's not going to replace everything. So you need to really you really need to understand like what it's actually going to do. And that's kind of where we're at today. We're at where people think that it's just a replacement of previous resources, and it's really not. There's a lot more involved. So.
For sure. It's just a tool at the end of the day, at least at its current stage. You still got to know how to use it, where it goes, how to plug it in, and how to take advantage of it. But
Exactly. Yeah.
with all technological advancements over centuries, it obviously changes the landscape a little bit. But you mentioned a lot of prospects are coming on the call, asking a lot of questions. How are you going about bridging that gap between the awareness they have that they know about AI to actually plug it into a solution that they truly need?
Yeah, well, we actually have a framework. We actually I have a whole framework where it's the 5 steps of incorporating AI into your business, and we're actually coming out with a book that we're going to release for free for people. Kind of like it's a lead magnet. I mean, I'm sure you probably know how that works. It's a lead magnet that we put together because we've been using this framework for the better part of 10 years for our custom software development, and we realized the thing translates to AI development and AI consulting as well. And really, what we do is we have to first analyze any tasks that are currently being done within a business, like how long is it taking to do those tasks? We have a benchmark. If things take more than 4 hours to do in a week, then that's something that we may be able to look at as an automation that we could implement. The other thing is, I don't know if you ever have you ever watched Tropic Thunder, the movie Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
So the Tom Cruise's character. At the end of the movie, he looks at his assistant. He goes, and forgive me if this is a vulgar language to you, but he says a nutless monkey could do your job. You know what I mean? Like, and then they start laughing, and then he acts like he was just joking, and then he looks at him seriously. He goes, "No, seriously, a nutless monkey could do your job." And so that's the other part of how we know whether something is automatable. If it's a task that can be done by anybody with the most littlest amount of skill possible. So those are the things that we look at first. Once we find those things, then we find the tool or the custom solution that we can implement in order to take over for those tasks. And then we test it and we make sure that it's a valid solution. It is going to save time. It is going to save money. It is going to drive more customers, build more of the business. And if it works, then we build the workflow around it. Because that's the part that most people don't realize is they start building all the workflows for it. And you probably see this all over social media, all of these N8N AI agency people that are building all these N8N workflows. If you listen to their videos, they're like, okay, well, how is that going to solve the business problems? A lot of it is like, seems like you're just building a workflow just to automate something that really, like, I could buy a $30 a month tool or a $20 a month tool that could do the same thing, and I didn't have to build out this whole solution. And it's because they're implementing the workflow without understanding what's the problem that they're trying to solve. So that's what we try to do within our framework before we actually build out the full solution. And then the last step of it is actually the scale. Once we know it works, we've tested it, everything works flawlessly, we built a workflow around it, a system around it, then we can scale it, or we could build it to scale or put it to scale. And so that's kind of a framework that we follow, and that's how we're incorporating AI into a lot of our clients' businesses right now.
Yeah, very cool, Ray. And what are some of these examples of tasks you guys are typically automating? What kind of eats up maybe that minimum threshold of 4 hours a week that people might not even realize? What's a kind of common task?
Yeah, so today, I'm glad you asked that question because today I just got off of a sales call with this specific situation where a company is using Salesforce. They send invites, so they're a nonprofit that sends invites to their all of their donors and to an event, and the donors they're supposed to fill out a form like an RSVP form and put in like their diet restrictions or anything like that, all the information they need for this event. And what happens is some of them are filling the form and some of them are just replying to the email saying, okay, I'm bringing my son and yada, yada, yada. And so the person that's responsible for managing this whole event is like, I have to take like an Excel spreadsheet of all the people that use the form. And then I have to take the people that just sent me an email and I have to I have to transpose that information and incorporate it back into the spreadsheet. You know what I'm saying? So she's going through the flow, and I'm just like, yeah, that's a simple automated system for me. I like in my head, I can already see that. Oh, all we got to do is if they send you the email, we can actually capture the email and we can parse the information from the email, run it through an LLM that'll give you that they said yes, I'm coming. I have bringing my two sons, and this is my diet restriction, everything, and then you can incorporate right back into the worksheet. And then at the end of the day, take that whole worksheet and now implement it back into your Salesforce, so everything's stored in your Salesforce. And so that's a flow that you would, that someone like myself or my team, we would come up with after speaking with someone in that fashion. So that's like a one solution, and that's like a very defined, detailed solution for that company. For another client, we're building a complete billing management system where they aggregate all the bills for all the major hotel chains across the country. And what they do is they take all those bills, they package it up into one big amount, and then they go back to like AT&T, Verizon, or any one of the large telecom companies, and they renegotiate contracts based on economies of scale for all of those branches of hotel chains. Well, analysts before used to have to analyze all those bills individually, put together on a spreadsheet how all that stuff, how much all of that stuff costs, and how they can negotiate new pricing, and do all that stuff manually. So we went in there and we said, look, we could build a whole system that can automate this whole process, and it does. So now the bills come in through an email, they fall into a Dropbox, an agent, an AI agent kicks off, grabs all those bills, and then automatically runs them through the large language models and the scanners that we have and everything, aggregates all that data, stores it into a database, and then makes decisions as to how we can reduce the bills for these specific vendors for all the hotel chains. So it's things like that, and that one sounds extremely complex, but that's what it is. Like, we're doing extremely complex versions of what you see on these social media channels with these N8N workflows. Like, when I see some of these workflows, like, oh, I'm taking in an email, and I just I just want a notification of which emails I should respond to. Like, that's super simple. Like that,
Right.
you don't necessarily need a whole N8N thing to do that. But that's the thing. That's the difference between people that are in the industry that are working with companies, with small businesses, large businesses, and creating solutions versus someone who just learned how to use the tool and is trying to show you how to use the tool in its most simplest form. So anyway, I hope that answers that question. I have a, as you could tell, I'm very like I watch these videos. I'm like, come on, guys, like, what are we teaching people? Like, that's not how it works. If you really want to build a true AI automation agency, like, find out what are the complex problems that need to be solved and solve those problems. So,
For
anyways.
sure. No. And yeah, no, I think it needs to be broken down in depth because, like we said, AI is kind of a buzzword at the moment. It's getting thrown around. AI could be in 8 a.m. automation. It could be something super technical, super in depth. So
Exactly.
it's good to touch on both sides of the spectrum and let people know that it's not just a buzzword.
Yeah, I have a TikTok video out there. It's really funny. One day, I saw a post on someone that was using one of the cameras like I'm using right now, an Osmo Pocket 3, and the guy said, it's got facial tracking, and he's like, I'm using my AI camera, and I was like, what part of the camera is AI? And so he says, well, facial recognition. I mean, this was a conversation on social on his channel, and so then I had to send him a bunch of documentation of how we used to do facial recognition before AI, which it was just mathematics. It's just complex mathematics. And I had to explain the reason why there's no AI in your actual video, your camera, is because these cameras have very, very small formats. Like, their structure is very small. Well, if you're doing real AI, you need GPUs, you need processing, you need all that stuff in order to be able to process the models, right? And so if you have a small camera, that architecture is not built into the camera. So what you're seeing is in the camera is that the camera is using mathematical algorithms to determine what a facial structure looks like. Then it's capturing what pixels those are on the screen, and then it tracks the pixels as they move. And so I was explaining to him. I said, "Now, am I saying that there's no AI in these smaller cameras? Some of them may have AI, but I'm saying in the camera that he was showing me was like, there's no AI. It's just basically mathematical algorithms. So, but I just want to mention that because I was like, that was a conversation I had with someone on social media just because they throw AI on everything. So, anyways, so what I did is I created a video joking about that, where I was like, hey, I'm going to drink my AI coffee. I'm going to put on my AI hat. I started naming everything in my office AI. It was hilarious. And the actual video went viral because of that. Because everyone who understood what I was doing, they were like, yeah, you're right. Everyone's just slapping the word AI on everything.
Yeah, and it's true. It's true. It's getting pretty bad. But Ray, you mentioned earlier you're putting out books. Sounds like you're creating a lot of content as well. With so much noise in the AI space, how are you going about breaking through that? What's the competitive landscape look like at the minute?
You know, it's funny you say that because I actually I have a whole coaching program that I subscribe to. I have a coach, a business coach, I have a marketing coach. I basically have like 4 or 5 coaches. What the one thing that I realized, and the reason why I hire all these coaches and why they broke through the noise, is because they are providing one to one personalized services. They are building relationships. Like I have a relationship with my coaches, and so it's the same thing with working with artificial intelligence and trying to break through the noise of artificial intelligence. I tell people that AI has no heart. I did a TED talk not too long ago, and I said AI has no heart. I said if you're a person that just like shows up to work every day and you're just doing your 9 to 5, you're just doing your basic tasks, and you're walking away at the end of the day. At the end of the day, there's a good chance you might be replaced by AI. I said, but if you're someone that's very passionate about what you do and you're putting yourself into it and you're really and like you have those little nuances about you that you incorporate into the work that you do, that's the stuff that AI cannot replicate, and that's how you break through the noise. And so that's what I do. I'm literally a high level tech person who normally likes to work with my headphones and just code, right? But I'm here having a conversation with you about AI, and I can have a decent conversation and explain things in a way that you understand. And I would love a relationship. Like I like having relationships with people, and talking to them, meeting with them, all that kind of stuff. Most of my business comes from going to networking events and meeting people, shaking hands and kissing babies. Like it's not. I'm not doing like some automated social media marketing thing, and then people are just buying my stuff. It's like, no, I'm meeting them in person. I'm chatting with them on social. I'm showing up on podcasts. So that's the difference, and I think that's going to be the difference for people moving forward when they're trying to fight this whole AI thing taking over what they do, or fighting that noise. Is you have to be a more personable person and build relationships.
Yeah, nice. I like the mindset. And Ray, being a founder, being a CEO over your career, how important have resources like coaching, like mentoring, books, podcasts? Is there anything you've relied on to help kind of guide you through this journey as an entrepreneur?
All of it, man. Every single one. I have years ago. I had when I was 18 years old. I did Amway. I don't know if you ever heard of Amway or. So Amway used to be a multi-level marketing thing. It used to be a door-to-door sales thing. 20 years ago, if you mentioned Amway, you were like ostracized. Like people just like, don't talk to me. It's like the people that have, was it Legal Shield? Have you ever seen the Legal Shield people? It's like it's the multi-level marketing thing. It's like all these
Yeah,
products. So Amway was one of the first and one of the biggest. And when I went into there were so many naysayers about that company and about what we were doing. But they had this thing called the system, and basically it was like books and tapes that would help keep you motivated, keep you engaged, keep you learning more, getting better at your craft. And so at 18 years old, I had that training. Like I had a bunch of people. I mean, we're talking, most of these people were like in their 40s and 50s. They were accountants, lawyers, doctors, but they believed in the system of learning, reading, listening to stuff. That's where I got introduced to Tony Robbins and a lot of these large scale influencers, and Robert Kiyosaki, all these people, and basically one of my mentors back then was like, listen, the one thing nobody can take away from you is the stuff that you learn. Like they could take everything else away, but your knowledge they'll never be able to take away. And if you just continue like becoming a lifetime learner, you'll be golden. And I took that to heart, man. So everything I've done throughout my years, I read a lot. I listen to podcasts. I listen to, I consume media. Like I consume YouTube. I consume all these things, and you'll be surprised. Sometimes just one YouTube video that has nothing to do with my business might give me that one piece of information, make me think about something a little bit differently. And then I go in, I'm like, oh, I never would have thought. Maybe we can incorporate what that person's doing in this whole other thing that has nothing to do with me, and maybe that'll work in my thing. you know. So I do a lot of it. I have an account to O'Reilly Media, which originally was Safari Books Online. I still have that because when I was a junior developer at a company and they were asking me to do things that I've never done before, that I used to open up that application on the right side of my screen while I had the code on the left side of the screen, and I was learning how to build the thing as I was reading it. Like I was doing it in real time. And I'm still that way today. Like artificial intelligence was not something that like I went into. It was like, okay, this is where things are going. So I went to Safari Books Online or O'Reilly. I'm like, how does machine learning work? How does neural networks work? How does this work? How does that work? And you know, even today, transformers in AI is a fairly new thing, at least to us that are not really like the guys that are building the algorithms. You know, it was a fairly new thing, and so I'm still not 100% sure how they actually work. But I open up a book on how transformers work, and I'm reading the literature, and I'm learning. Okay, this is why transformers do what they do. Am I going to be a transform developer? Probably not ever. But at least I understand what's happening in the underlying technology, and then I can make informed decisions for my clients based on that.
Yeah, no doubt. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, whether it be
Exactly.
directly in business, as an entrepreneur, as a person. The more you learn, the farther you go. That's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah,
But
one of the biggest things I learned too was listening to people that are coming up from under me. For instance, I hire interns from colleges, and you'll be surprised that some of these interns like they're testing things and trying things out that I don't have the ability to at my age because I'm running a company. And so so I'm learning from them too. I have one of my top developers, an amazing crypto influencer. I had no clue and until he started going on X and he became an influencer in crypto. And the kid has some amazing ideas on what to do with crypto platforms and all this stuff. And I'm just sitting there listening in awe instead of having an ego and being like, well, I know more than you and I'm your boss. And, you know, I'm sitting there going, dude, like, this is awesome. Like, show me more. Like, let's prototype this. Like, let's try this out. And I just love that part. I hope that never changes. I hope I just stay in that state for the rest of my life because it's fun to learn new things and just see like younger people like on the cutting edge and be able to just like ride their wave with them too, you know? So I
yeah,
think it's exciting. So
yeah. And I think that's a mindset. Once you got it, you keep it, especially if you've had it for a while. It's not something that goes away. But I think if you get stuck in your ways, it's hard to kind of open up a little bit. Just that
yeah,
ego plays in.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
Ray, I'm trying to put together my podcast background. Do you have any books you could recommend I add to my collection?
So the background looks nice too. I like it. My friend, I have a friend of mine, his name is Michael McGuire. He actually works at University of Central Florida here in Orlando. He runs the communications building. Him and I worked at a TV studio for 6 years together, and we did that. Like what you have going on, like we were building, like we custom built the studio at a college because they didn't have the funds. So we would go to there used to be a store called Skycraft in Orlando. We used to go buy all the components, buy all the pieces, and we used to build out the stuff ourselves. Well, when I saw your background, I was like, oh my god, that looks just like the studio that Mike just built just recently for podcasting. But yeah, I mean, really at the end of the day, see, it all depends on what you want to do because it looks like you're doing like the internet, like what we're doing now, which is a remote type podcasting. But what was cool, what Mike did is very similar back panel that you have. On the edges, he took these flat panels and did like the string lights, right? And what it did is it flares color to both sides on beyond the panel in the background.
Yeah,
And so
nice.
he did stuff like that. Now, I have a virtual background. I'm not using it right now because we're on this, but if we were on Zoom, you would have seen the virtual background. But I created a virtual background using, AI. I basically had it create a back room and I had it create like a sign that looks like a real sign that's hanging on a wall of my company and my logo and everything like that. So I used a virtual background. I think I got the idea from watching an ad on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. But it all depends on what you want to do. I do most of my podcasts are virtually like what we're doing right now. So the background the studio I'm working on is just the background, and then just being able to like green screen
Yeah,
it
yeah,
out. You know.
yeah. I'm always looking for ideas, so I'll be on the lookout. But
Yeah. I'll send you pictures of what he built. His is like automated. He has 3 cameras, wall mounted, and then he has the switcher from Black Magic. They have like a switcher that you could switch all the cameras and stuff like that. So he has an assistant that does the camera switching and the mic switching and everything in real time. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's sweet. Maybe we'll get there at some point with Tech Ascent, but for now,
Yeah,
we're humble beginnings.
exactly. Yeah.
Ray, we've talked a lot, and one thing I want to pull it back to is just our quick conversation about how knowledge is power. Being an entrepreneur, being a founder, if there was one thing you wish you learned a little earlier in your career that would have kind of helped you either scale, accelerate your growth, what would that one thing be, and what sort of kind of advice would you give somebody starting their journey?
So listen, the biggest lesson I learned, and it started 2 years ago in October of 2023 exactly, is marketing psychology. That is probably, and I know it's a weird answer considering that I do mostly AI and tech stuff, right? But no joke, I literally focused so much on the engineering when I started my company, and because that's my bag, that's what I love to do. And I built the company based off of like because I have a sales background as well. I did years of phone sales, and I was very arrogant, and I had a huge ego about my success in phone sales. So I built the company on phone sales, like cold calling and building the business. And you could do that. Anyone could do that and could build a business, but when you're trying to scale it, like get it past just you doing it, that's when things really hit the fan. And that's what happened to me in October 2023. Like we went from having, 5, 6, 7 leads a month. And by the way, we would close one or two, and our leads, our customer acquisition costs at the time was practically almost nothing. And our customer lifetime value was $250,000. So we were getting a huge return on investment doing everything manually, like phone sales and stuff like that. But the problem was that when it took time for me to step away and actually have a team of people that ran the sales and ran all this stuff, like that's where things really got bad. And so I actually went to a conference learning how to do leads, like how to get more leads, but not be involved in the sales process. And I go to this conference and I see like they have an award, like 2 hours of like an award show. And in the award show, I see like 12-year-old walking across stage who had just earned $1 million in sales. And I'm sitting there going like, what is going on here? And then I'm like, and then I thought, okay, maybe that was just a one-off, right? No. There was 100 people lined up. They were all in age ranges from like, there was a 9-year-old and then there was like a 40-year-old and a 50-year-old. Then there was a guy who was in a wheelchair, who like couldn't even move his body. He had multiple sclerosis, and he earned $1 million in his business. And I'm sitting there going like, what am I missing here? And so when I walked out of that conference, or by the time the conference ended, I realized that marketing psychology, sales and marketing psychology, sales is not the problem for me, but the marketing psychology is probably the biggest thing that everyone needs to know. You need to know you need to know how to word things in a way that get people to say, I'm interested in this, what this person's doing. I want more information. And then when you go get that when they go get that more information, that you still use the same sales psychology and the marketing psychology to get them to say, I'm committed to putting money down on that, because I think that's going to benefit me. Right. And that's been my struggle. It's a big struggle I have. I can honestly tell you, I hired 2 companies over 2 years. Before I started this whole thing in October 2023, I had hired 2 other companies in 2 years, spent over $90,000 and got no business out of it, and wasted $90,000. And that was the biggest eye opener. A lot of these marketing companies that call you and be like, hey, we'll get you leads and we'll get you like 30 leads a month or whatever. Like I bought into that twice. I got burned twice. And at the end of the day, it's one of the biggest things was clarity. Clarity of what is the product or service that you're offering? What is your actual offer? And then who's your target customer? And if your target customer will pay for that offer. If you can't find out those 3 things and be able to use marketing psychology to entice those people to buy from you, then you're not going to have a business. And that was probably the biggest lesson.
Yeah, and that's a big lesson. That's a big lesson.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Ray, looking forward now with all these lessons you've learned over the past years, what's the goals for Grata Software? What's the mission? What's the vision you have?
Yeah. So the vision for us is we've done something that we've never done before. We started this in the beginning of this year, and it all goes back to the whole marketing psychology and how to actually ascend a customer through your offers. So we created a low ticket offer, $99 a month We created a school community. We realized that a lot of businesses that we work with that are small businesses, sometimes even smaller, they just can't afford our normal consulting services and our ability to go in and build their own custom solutions, or us build their custom solutions. So we tried to find a way that we can make things more cost effective for them. So what we did is we built a $99 a month school community membership, and we're providing full education and training on how to do the things that we normally do for clients, but how to do it for smaller businesses, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs that are just starting, that are just trying to kick off their company, right? Our whole goal is to try to get them to $10,000 a month, $100,000 a month in recurring revenue. And then hopefully from there, then they'll want to, stretch their legs a little, be like, okay, Ray, we'll finally hire your team to do some of this work for us so that we can continue running our business and building our business. And that's my goal. My goal is to get people from the beginning stages up to that level, at least on that specific business model. And then the Grata software is always going to be our high ticket, like completely done for you. Like, hey, we don't know how to do this. We don't want to do this because we don't want to waste our time. We rather just have a professional just go do that for us. And so that's the goal. The goal is we're moving forward with a full spectrum of services rather than just what we used to be is just high ticket only. So that's our goal, and that's where we're heading.
Yeah, nice. So unique strategies, not one I've heard get thrown around in specifically this space for quite a while. So I like it. Sounds like you guys have built a strong foundation to begin with. So I think anything you guys keep testing out, I think eventually you'll find some traction, work some wonders for you.
Yeah, and it's all about relationships at the end of the day, right? I mean, that's the thing. We're trying to build the relationships at the beginning. We don't like transactional deals. Like, we just don't. Most of our clients have been with us for many, many years. And I know their families. I get invited to their Christmas parties, all that kind of stuff. Like, we have real good relationships with the customers that we deal with. And the same thing with the Digital Strike brand. That Digital Strike brand, some of the people that have already signed up there are people that either I know personally or I've met personally, or even through them signing up, I'm more involved in their life than they probably, than we originally thought of. Because I always like to develop relationships with the people that I work with. I think that's the only way moving forward. And again, with all this AI stuff, I think we need that. We just need a lot more humanity and a lot more relationships with people. So,
no doubt. And Ray, that is all I've got for you today. I really appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your insights, sharing your wisdom that you've picked up over the years, and also what you're seeing in the AI space in terms of trends, challenges, and opportunities. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for the opportunity, and I'm glad we were able to have this conversation after so many reschedules.
Yeah, I am as well. And Ray, I'll be sure to tag your LinkedIn and Grata Software's website down in the description, but I know you post content a lot of other places as well. Where else can people go find you?
So the biggest one right now is you'll find me on TikTok. It's the.rey.ortega. So it's the.rey.ortega. If you go there, you'll find me on LinkedIn, you'll find me on TikTok. LinkedIn is like, if you just type my name, Rey Ortega, I always show up at the top. I don't know why, but I guess there's not that many Rey Ortegas that do business on LinkedIn. But you'll find me there as well. And then I do have a YouTube channel with the same name, the.Rey Ortega. If you go to YouTube, you'll find me there. And I'm always posting videos, the longer form videos there for people to follow and stuff. So, yep.
Sounds good. I'll drop all those links down in the description. But for everybody that's tuned in, especially if you've listened this far, truly appreciate it. Truly appreciate your time. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you hit like and subscribe down below. But Ray, also one last time, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thanks.